Why aren't people working? No one wants to work. In my opinion, America needs to go back to work. I did a talk a while back about Elon Musk. He ordered Tesla employees back to the office full time. He said Tesla will create and actually manufacture the most exciting and meaningful products of any company on earth. So Mr. Musk said, hey, it's not going to happen by just phoning it in. You got to get to the office. I think he's right. Don't get me wrong. Some jobs, you can work well from home, and some people have the mindset to do it, but most don't. It's fantasy land that employees working from home are just as productive. The nation is moving recklessly fast to make remote and hybrid working permanent without anticipating the harm to the world's largest economy, in my opinion. Some jobs and some people have the personality for hybrid work. Don't get me wrong. But have you heard of this concept about quiet quitting in the last couple weeks? Quiet quitting. Quitting the idea of going above and beyond at work. Forget about it. Dear Mr. Employer, I'm not going to do extra. For some, that might just mean doing the bare minimum because that's all they have to give at the moment for a variety of reasons, whatever they might be. For others, it just means not burning yourself out. It really is, nothing new in my opinion. If you look at the history of the corporate world, quiet quitting could be a sign that an employee is not happy in their position or is experiencing burnout. Quiet quitting is a way the employees deal with burnout to help alleviate stress. It may also mean they are ready to change positions or may be currently looking for another job. The bottom line, in my opinion, quiet quitting is the latest workplace buzzword. Although it sounds like it refers to someone resigning from their position, it describes, I think, a rebellion against the hustle culture of going above and beyond what a job requires. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing, whether you're running your own business or you're working for someone. I expect it. And, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, listen to some of his stuff, says if you're a quiet quitter, you're a loser and un-American. Others will say on the other side of the fence, it's not quiet quitting, it's called work to rule, meaning doing exactly what's stated in your contract. Okay? Do the bare minimum. My feeling on this is simple. My feeling is that I have people that work for me, and I used to work for corporations. Anyone who's worth their salt is working more than 8 hours a day. Not this BS like the 4-hour work week book concept bullshit. It's a bunch of nonsense. I'm not here to talk. I was told I worked too hard in a company. I thought it was bizarre. That's why I said I can't do this anymore. These people are weak. Everyone wants to retire right now. No one wants to do shit. My dad's 80 years old, still works 7 days a week, and finds time to travel the world. He could have retired 22 years ago. I'm cut from the same cloth. If you're not growing and creating, what is the point of living? I love the people that tell me how hard they work, because I know they're not working hard. They're embarrassed. Nothing wrong with working smart and making a lot of money. If you're doing that, great. It's not all about the money. It's about creating. You want to sit on the beach? I can only do that for 2 days. I hate sitting around. No matter how rich and successful I become, I will always do something. And I'm not doing just one thing right now. No one right now, in my opinion, is asking you to work 9 to 5. They are asking you just to get your job done. Think between the lines, whether it's at 2 a.m. or 6 a.m. You do have the flexibility because of COVID now to have those honest conversations with your boss and business partners, and they will work with you, in my opinion. Have that conversation. Hey, I like to go to the gym in the morning, take a nap, work through lunch, and I like to work from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. They'll work with you. Have those talks. So I know the advantages of remote work are obvious. No laborious commutes, especially with budget-busting gas prices and more lifestyle freedom. But in my opinion, over 60% of people can't handle the lifestyle freedom. They can't handle it. They need to go into an office. They don't want to back that car out of the driveway. But it also, I think it threatens to depress economic output, lower American standard of living, doom our cities, and deprive young people of on-the-job training. It's a myth to think employees, especially entry-level workers, can acquire new skills sitting in their pajamas at home on a computer. I hate Zoom calls, and you're not going to get that face-to-face interaction that you need for on-the-job training. You need to interact with more seasoned workers on the job. You need to go to that brick-and-mortar office. We have an office. I go to other offices if I can and work through Regis Hotels and Hiltons. I like being out there. So the COVID-19 pandemic not only disrupted everyone's lives with restrictions and lockdowns on public gatherings, and it was a mistake, it also made some people rethink their career choices, which I think is a good thing. A lot of people opened their own businesses and got into entrepreneurship. So during what was known as the Great Resignation, 71.6 million people left their jobs from April 2021 through April 2022, which averages 3.98 million people quitting monthly. And that's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. In June 2022, the number of people quitting reached roughly 4.2 million. So not only are people resigning from positions, they also want to limit their workloads. They don't want to work so hard. They're stressed. So enter the quiet quitting concept, the new way of doing a job. Just do the bare minimum. You want to move up in that organization? Do the bare minimum. At that time, many in the community, if we go back to COVID, received benefits from well-intended programs created to provide assistance, which often made it very difficult for small employers to find employees. So the benefit from taking a job was much less than the benefit one could receive from the government at a time while not working. So finding that hiring was difficult because when faced with the choices of getting paid by the government not to work or accepting employment at paying jobs, many people chose the former option. I'm going to sit home, grab the video games, Cheetos, open the six-pack. This is one major similarity between the current experience and the last recession, except that in this episode, the benefits many received were far in excess of what they could earn from working. So, the thing about the central bankers, and I go back to this, is that every time they say something agreeable, they have a way of following it up with something which is most definitely not agreeable. Being incentivized to refrain from seeking employment is bad enough, but instead of critiquing market intervention or the effects of increasing money supply, we've talked about that, increasing the money supply, $7-10 trillion, I'd say almost 10. They've turned the narrative upside down by considering the government largeness as an increase in personal savings. This personal savings thing going around now, so much so that the benefits provided to a large number of Americans resulted in a significant increase in savings, which is only recently beginning to decline and likely leading many who had not yet decided to re-enter the workforce to find work. Ooh, that inflation. So we take a top-line review with a national debt at about $30.7 trillion, a little higher, and interest rates rising now. It's difficult to believe that Americans have become a nation of savers. 50% of Americans only have $500 in their savings account, or that these higher rates would cause a systemic problem soon enough. So this concept of increase in savings is always troublesome to me, since the cost of living is still on the rise and asset prices remain elevated. So even if people were saving more, given that their money buys less, and with each passing day, is anyone really saving? Now, during COVID, a lot of people were holding on to their money. The stock market went up and they bought property, the higher echelons of society. So there is no magic wand that will draw workers back into the labor force, especially with generous government benefit programs are provided for those who are capable of working. No one wants to work in it. We're lazy compared to other countries. We are lazy compared to other countries. The article that I read, investigated this issue about the labor force, and there's a few lessons to draw from the experience and the research that I delved into to encourage people to get back to work. You know, as much as they may not like to admit it, the reality is that when given the opportunity in America, probably anywhere, to get paid not to work, many will take it and sign on the dotted line. There are other countless reasons for people to avoid seeking gainful employment, including government shutdowns. That was a big reason and a big mistake, and the corresponding push to keep people indoors. How did that work for us? All the small businesses that got crushed. Unbelievable. And also the government spending programs and the increased cost of living, which can further discourage and disenfranchise people from seeking work. Time will tell. Hopefully we learned our lesson. Some will say it was done by design. But the higher the rate of currency debasement, which is my concern, the currency debasement, the more people will become desperate and in turn look for alternative ways to obtain money that may keep them from out of the the labor force. So looking at some companies that I admire and I follow, the CEO and president Douglas Emmett. It's a real estate corporation worth over $3 billion and based in Santa Monica, California. He said on an August earnings call, corporate earnings call, that a recession could be a good thing for the commercial real estate sector and residential, to shake out the weak players, be survival of the fittest. It comes with a level of recession of unemployment that puts employees back in the driver's seat and allows them to get all their employees back into the office. So the employers will get the upper hand to the employees. Douglas Emmett, they own both commercial and residential real estate. If you look in their LinkedIn page, its commercial real estate portfolio consists of 71 Class A roughly properties with approximately 18.2 million rentable square feet. So the executive told Wall Street analysts that joblessness could help companies bring people back in the office where they want them. It's a two-way street. You're doing your own company, you're going to do the bare minimum. The thought would be that unemployment would be up and therefore employers would be in the driver's seat to bring people back in the office, which is where they need to be. I think, I think it's wrong to move in this direction of quiet quitting as a means of getting revenge on a company. I know some people are doing it for that. Quiet quitting, to me, seems very passive aggressive. If somebody is burnt out, there should be a candid conversation with your boss about that. If it should be both ways. Just saying, I'm going to do the absolute minimum because I'm entitled to it or I have issues. It doesn't really help anybody. And quiet quitting prevents people from finding jobs they love. You work 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. I guess not anymore. I think there's nothing sadder thing to waste all this time of your life trying not to enjoy and be engaged and being excited in the work that you are doing. I think that's important. Someone told me, write down everything you want and spend 25 years trying to get it. That was my dad. I like to work. I like to create. I can't sleep 10 hours a day and sit on a beach, even if I could. It's so freaking boring. I don't really drink much. Social drinkers 3 times a week. I don't drink 3 times a week. I don't drink for a month, and I have 4 drinks, then I don't drink for 2 weeks, and then I know, and I calculate it in my head. I don't think I'm boring, but I just don't like to do that stuff. I like to create. I like to read. So I have so many people that tell me how hard they work. Never, when someone tells you how hard they work or they're working so hard, think about that. Either they don't work hard and they make a lot of money and they're embarrassed because they make so much money, or they're not working hard. I don't tell anyone. I work my ass off. When people are sleeping, I'm in the gym at 4:30 in the morning, walking my dog at 5, and I'm working on 4 different things. Okay, I work for a company. I'm not bragging. This is just my personality. And I wish everyone was. I work for a company, and the main boss pulled me aside. It happened in 2 companies and said, "You're working too hard. We don't want you driving to the hotel on Sunday." Because I like to drive to the hotel on Sunday. I like to go to the gym late at night, go to the pool, prepare for my day. I thought a company would appreciate it. They told me I'm working too hard and freaking people out because people had kids or whatever, and they didn't like it. I thought it was bizarre. I thought you would embrace that. Now you got people, I'm hoping to want that back. I want that in my team. Okay? So, sorry, I'll work out everybody. That's always been my philosophy. I like to work. It's not a competition, but I can't stand this lazy culture. If you study other cultures, we are a lazy culture. Everyone wants it now. They don't want to work for it. They don't want to work for it. They don't want to put in the time, the effort. It's not going to happen overnight. I fail every week. But I work my ass off. I work my ass off every day. I don't have to work this hard. But I like it. I'm just getting started. I got another 20 years of things I want to do. And whether it's a nonprofit and these things that I got ideas I want to do, it's going to be work. And I've always said, when you retire is when you die. You'll have a heart attack. Everyone I know that retired is dead. You can never stop. But, if you work for someone, there are politics involved, and the hardest worker, and it happened to me, is not always going to get promoted. But show up and be the best. I used to sleep under a desk 2-3 days a week at a .com because I was going against Ivy Leaguers, and I didn't go to an Ivy League school, but I outworked everyone. And they finally on a Saturday invited me to play ping pong at the ping pong table in the office. But I still knew I wasn't in. But they respected me. The CTO took me out for drinks because he was in there on a Saturday working. And he was 55 years old, and I was in my 20s, and he was working. And he went out and he had a $300,000 Porsche that he was driving. So anyone who's worth their salt is working 10, 20 hours a day, and they're fucking thinking about it. That's the way you roll. I can't stand lazy people. I can't stand it. And you got to work hard, and you got to grow. And if you're doing your own company and your own business, and that's great that a lot of people during the pandemic started that, you got to work 10, 15 hours a day. You're going to work 5 hours? You're going to work 6 hours and build your business? Come on. Anyone who's worth their salt works their ass off. I can't stress that enough. And look at our competitors in China, Japan. I know guys in Saudi Arabia that work their ass off. So we need to change that. And this is done by design because they want a nation of renters. They want people on universal basic income. And you just collect your check and be happy. And I'm telling you, you shouldn't be satisfied with that. You should, if you're not happy in your job, have that conversation with your boss and see if you have the mindset to work different hours to help you. But if you truly hate that job, then find another job. You'll find one or start your own thing. But do it. But being productive, having purpose in life is important. It's not going to happen overnight. Write a list down. And don't spend, I'm going to do this in 2 years. Spend 20 plus years trying to get it. Take care.